How can you rely on elected officials to cut spending, especially entitlements, when we elected officials in D.C. who are the most entitled in the country? Very pointed question. I think that the main thing is you have to have people who are brave enough to put something on the line, including their own reelection. This year, I voted for a budget that increased the age of retirement for Social Security. That's a tough vote, and I can tell you that's something that's not very, very popular. I've had 17 town hall meetings on Social Security reform, and if you ever want to see the First Amendment in action, have a Social Security town hall meeting. It is a free fest in the First Amendment. But the one thing that everybody agreed on is Social Security is broke and needed to be fixed. And I'm not saying Social Security, I mean, we're going to all debate of what the definition of entitlement is. Social Security, as you know, you've paid into it. The problem is, for my dad, and we as Republicans, we need to be very serious about this. My dad, when he retired in 1980, he got everything out of it that he put in it in a 3-year period of time. Now, if you retire today, it's 17 years. But for these children over here, that little girl right there, she'll probably get 50 cents on the dollar. And we have to come together as a national family to say, you can't reform these important programs without having all generations at the table. And it's very, very important to do. Even talking about Social Security is a risk. But I had 17 Social Security town meetings about it to try to promote reform. And I'll say this, I was in Congress when George Bush put Social Security on the table. If you were standing by the door, you got stampeded. Everybody running away from George Bush, and most of the people running were the Republicans. And as you remember, we were pushing to have the lockbox vote. We couldn't even get it to the floor of the House. That's how difficult it is. So what you and I have to do is insist that all of us look after these very important programs. I'll tell you another one is Medicare. Social Security is actually mathematically somewhat easy to resolve. Social Security is Medicare is very difficult. One of the things we have to have is end-of-life directives. My dad, before he died, he and I sat down and did a living will. Have y'all done that with your family? Raise your hand. You know, living will, it's a very important thing. It says, under what circumstances do you want to remain alive? And it asks that question about 15 different ways. Finally, my dad said to me, son, let me put it this way. You keep me alive as a vegetable, I'm going to come back and haunt you when I'm gone. And you know what? That was a healthy process. Because my dad made it 90 years, and we were very fortunate he died in his chair with his sister sitting next to him. And you know, as a family, we have to be very aware of that. But if we would have living wills, you could save $7,500 a person. And that's something that would be very significant for Medicare. And I'm working on that legislation to give people an incentive to do that. Now let me say this, in terms of what I would call are the tougher, or I'm not sure what the other, often entitlements get thrown in. I want to talk about welfare reform, and I don't even want to put this in the same discussion as Medicare and Social Security, but on welfare, I believe able-bodied people who can work should be required to work if they're taking public. Co-sponsored an amendment last week on that. I also believe in drug testing for disability. If you are out saying you can't find work and we've got a job for you, you ought to be able to do that job, and you can't let your use of an illegal substance keep you from being eligible to work. It's a matter of common sense. There's a lot more, and this is a great topic, and I look forward to more discussion on it, but my time has expired.